if you're a Primavera P6 user, you already know the updates just keep coming. But let's be honest, which of these new features are actual game changers for your projects? Well, today, we're going to skip digging through release notes and get right to the good stuff. We're going to break down the most impactful P6 updates and show you exactly what they mean for your day-to-day workflow. So, let's dive in.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how planning itself is getting smarter and more flexible. Then we'll dive into some new ways to control and protect your project data. After that, we'll check out the fresh new look and feel of the user interface. We'll also touch on some really important updates for integrations and security. That's the power user stuff. And finally, we'll look ahead to see what's on the way out so you can stay ahead of the curve.
So let's kick things off with what matters most, the actual planning. How is P6 making the core of your job, building and managing schedules, easier and more insightful? Let's take a look.
Okay, first up, a fix that schedulers have been asking for years. You know how milestone relationships used to break when you copied them or changed activity types? Well, that's gone. Now, all relationship types stick, which is just a huge relief. There are other great quality of life updates too, like being able to easily reassign calendars to tidy up your database, and a visible baseline ID, so you always know exactly which baseline you're looking at. Plus, you get a ton of new data columns in the assignments window for some seriously deep analysis.
P6 is also getting a lot smarter about forecasting, thanks to this powerful new field, Estimate Time to Complete, or ETC. The best way to think about it is as an early warning system. It looks at your project's actual performance, your Scheduled Performance Index, or SPI, to predict how long the rest of the work is really going to take. So, if you're falling behind schedule, the ETC is going to reflect that, giving you a much more realistic completion date.
So how does this actually work? Well, the formula is surprisingly simple, but really powerful. As you can see here, for duration, it's just the original duration divided by your SPI. And there's a similar formula for labor units. The key takeaway here is that these fields act as that early warning I was talking about. If your team's productivity starts to slip, the ETC value will go up, giving you a heads up about potential overruns long before they become a major fire to put out.
Okay, so our planning tools are getting smarter, which is great, but what about the data that actually fuels those plans? Next up, let's look at how P6 is making the whole process of handling project data, especially importing and exporting, a whole lot safer and more precise. Now here's a feature that is going to save so many headaches, the new Add into Existing option for XER imports. Just imagine you've got a separate project plan from a contractor. Instead of all the complicated workarounds you might be used to, you can now import that entire plan directly into your main project. It just becomes a new branch of your work breakdown structure. All the data, all the structure, it just comes over perfectly. This is a massive time saver for anyone who has to merge schedules.
We've all been there, right? That heart-stopping moment when you click delete and that vague "Are you sure" box pops up? Well, P6 has finally fixed this. As you can see in the after image, the new confirmation screen is crystal clear. It lists exactly which projects you're about to delete, it reminds you this is permanent, and this is key. It makes cancel the default option. It's such a simple change, but it's brilliant. It makes it so much harder to accidentally delete your work.
And the control doesn't stop there. P6 is also giving you way more say over the details when you import data. You can now choose whether or not to bring in secure codes. You can decide if an imported code should become secure, and you can even compare calendar details before you commit. It really is all about giving you more power to keep your database clean, consistent, and secure.
All right, let's switch gears. We've talked about the nuts and bolts, but how does P6 actually feel to use every day? This next section is all about the new user experience, both on your desktop and, of course, on the mobile app.
So the biggest visual change you'll notice is the adoption of Oracle's Redwood design system. This means a pretty big visual overhaul. We're talking new icons, modern fonts, and a whole new color scheme. For instance, the highlight color for rows you've selected is now a nice clear green instead of the old blue. It might seem like a small detail, but it's all part of making P6 look and feel much more modern and clean.
So that's the desktop. But let's be real, a lot of work happens when you're on the go, right? Well, the P6 mobile app has also gotten some pretty significant upgrades. Let's see what's new.
On the mobile app, the My Activities view is now so much more powerful. All the options you need for filtering, sorting, and grouping are now in one convenient customized view page. This means you can quickly group your activities by things like, say, the critical path. And there's a new All filter that lets you see everything in one list. It's all designed to help you find the exact information you need way faster. The timesheet section on mobile has gotten some love too. You can now add notes to your timesheet entries, which is awesome for giving context to reviewers and cutting down on all that back and forth. Plus, you can now sort your timesheet rows, making it much easier to find and update the right task when you're in a hurry. Okay, now it's time to look under the hood. This next section is for all you admins, developers, and power users out there. We're talking about the technical backbone to P6, APIs, web services, and security.
Before we dive in, let's quickly touch on a key term you'll hear a lot: REST API. In the simplest terms, think of it as the modern, universal language that lets different software applications talk to each other. It's the foundation for building powerful, flexible integrations, and it's a huge focus for P6 going forward.
So here's a critical update for anyone who uses integrations with P6. You can now apply a temporary exclusive lock to a project through web services. This solves a problem that I'm sure many of you have run into: data conflicts. Now, when an integration is busy updating a project, this lock prevents anyone else from making changes at the same time, which is crucial for keeping your data consistent.
And here's the really smart part: the built-in safety net. What if an integration fails mid-update? Is your project locked forever? Nope. The lock automatically releases after 60 minutes of an activity. This is a fantastic feature that prevents you from ever getting locked out of your own project.
Security is getting more flexible too. As you can see in this table, administrators can now set different authentication methods for the older SOAP services and the newer REST APIs. So for example, you could use SAML for SOAP and a standard username for REST. This also includes support for OAuth, which is a modern and very secure industry standard. And check this out. This is a total game changer for anyone who has to audit user permissions. You can now download a single spreadsheet that contains all of your global and project security profiles. That means no more clicking through screen after screen after screen. You get one file that shows you exactly who has access to what, making security audits incredibly simple. All right, for our last section, let's talk about the future. You know, it's just as important to know what's being phased out as it is to know what new things are being added. This is a quick heads up about a couple of integrations that are on their way out. So first up, the schedule sheet integration between P6 and Primavera Unifier is being deprecated. Now, it still works for now, but Oracle is signaling that it won't be supported down the road. Their recommendation is to move to the summary sheet integration or to start using Primavera Gateway instead. And building on that last point, the use of Primavera Gateway for integrating P6 with other Primavera products is also being deprecated. This is a really clear sign of Oracle's strategy. They are pushing everyone to build integrations directly with those modern REST APIs we talked about, most likely using a tool like Oracle Integration Cloud. So when you step back and look at all this, from smarter planning and data controls to a modern new look, it's clear that P6 is evolving in some really meaningful ways. The real question is, which of these features do you think will have the biggest impact on your projects? Thanks for joining me for this walkthrough.